Hi, everyone. David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at the DRF Friday race of the day, which comes out in Queens, New York. Aqueduct race 8 there at Belmont at the Big A meet is the New York bred allowance race, a first level allowance going a mile and a 16th on the turf course. And Mike, Aqueduct kicking off their fall meet here on Thursday. This race taking place on Friday. A couple divisions of this first level allowance for New York breds, but I picked this one, race 8, because it's just a really competitive field where you can make cases for a lot of horses.
Yeah, it's a pretty wide open race here. I think they're all very well matched. I feel like my starting point for this race, David, after I went through the fields for the first time, was to try. I'm just assuming that Iron Max would be the favorite, and I see that you have made him the morning line favorite. He was my starting off point, trying to find horses that I thought I could try to beat him with. Not sure if I got there.
Yeah, a lot of these horses look the same on paper. They've run similar speed figures. Some of them are coming out of common races where they achieved similar results. So it is a difficult handicapping puzzle. And if it's a race that you want to dive into along with Mike and me, you can get free past performances for this race in every single race of the day. Just access to those free PPs via your account or create a free account at DRF.com. And you get all access PPs that include Classic, Formulator, and Timeform US past performances. And speaking of Timeform US, let's take a look at the pace projector for this race. And Mike, I do see plenty of speed signed on in here, though I'm not exactly sure which one is going to be leading under the wire for the first time, because some of these horses are not confirmed front runners, even though they want to be close up to the pace. I think the number 1, Mo Creasa, would benefit from a more aggressive ride here than he got last time. Terminal Velocity has obviously shown speed recently, but not setting the fastest paces.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was surprised when I pulled the pace projector and saw that they had this listed as a fast-paced race. Maybe it will be. It's a good-sized field. I'm sure horses will be going for position early in here, so maybe that'll heat things up. But I just didn't see a ton of blazing horses in here that we're all going to be fighting for the lead.
No, I agree. It really depends on what the riders decide to do.
Yeah.
Even a horse like the number 2 A-lister is going to be gigantic price. He's a horse that could mess up this pace scenario because he's got the speed to get forward in here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the opening quarter and half mile of the race. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Mo Creasa, who is one of those horses that could be involved in the pace. He's never been on the lead in a turf race, but he was up close to the pace 2 back and ran well to get the job done against $35,000 claimers. And like in that last race when he raced first off the claim for Mark Hennig, when I handicapped that race on paper, he looked like the clear speed to me if they wanted to go to the front. There was just no pace in that race, but it seemed like John Velasquez never showed any intention to get forward. It didn't seem like he knew he had a fast horse underneath him. He just took a hold of him right from the start, was just losing position throughout the race. And at the top of the stretch, it looked like he was going to get nothing. I was actually surprised when they crossed the wire to see that he was within a length of the winner at the end of the race. He ran okay in there. I think he'd benefit from some more aggressive tactics here from new jockey Ricardo Santana.
Yeah, I think you will get probably a more aggressive ride this time. I'm conflicted about his last race, David, because I watched it a few different times. Initially, I was sort of in your camp, where I just felt like that wasn't a particularly good ride, and maybe he ran better than it looks. Going back through the race again, I'm not so sure about that. And here's a question I have for you just about that last race. I'm with you. I feel like that was a race where it looked like he could have been the speed. Didn't you think that pace was really strong early, particularly first time through the stretch around the first turn? I thought they were really going in there. And I feel like Johnny Veach sort of made a logical decision there. They were rolling early, and he just decided to take a hold and sit. After that, I just thought this horse ran fine. I mean, I think he's a logical horse in this race. I think a better trip is probably coming, but I have no problem with the way that ultimately I have no problem with the way that he rode him last time.
Yeah, I think even if he had tried to make the lead, which to be clear, he didn't. He came out of the gate with no intention to even go forward. But even if he had tried, there were some unexpected speeds in that race that sent from the outside that might have prevented it from getting there anyway. So that point is well taken. And we'll see if he's fast enough to make the lead against this field. The number 2 A-lister is a horse that might be able to get in his way because he's shown speed on occasion, just not consistently. And in his recent turf races, it doesn't seem like they've been so aggressive with him. He is coming out of a series of races at this level where he's been gigantic prices. And while he's run well in the turf a couple times in the past, Mike, it just feels like his recent form makes him a little tough to build a case for.
Yeah, I think there are just too many other good horses in here, horses that are just better than he is. Your point, though, about him maybe mucking up the pace a little bit, sort of well taken, because it did feel like, if nothing else, having an outside post in that last one, it's probably compromised his chances. His rider just had to take a hold of him. He was 3 wide all the way around the track, and there he could never get over. I won't defend his performance because he didn't run that well in there, but maybe he'll get a different trip this time.
A horse who almost definitely will not be involved in the pace is the number 3 Iron Max because he just can't get there. He fails to break from the gate cleanly. He just breaks slowly every single time, as he did in this most recent start that we'll take a look at against Starter Optional Claiming Company, where he does make a big backstretch move to get into contention. You see him highlighted there relatively close up to the pace at the quarter pole, but he had to do a lot of work to get to that position because he broke slowly, had to make that middle move, and you have to like the way he finishes off this race, Mike, even after making that backstretch move to get into contention. He's obviously been in very good form since the claim for Brad Cox. I think it's just a question of how short a price you want to take on a horse that you know is probably going to be behind the 8 ball early.
That was my problem with him early. And again, the pace projector really, plays to his advantage if that's how the race is run. But when I first handicapped the race, David, I didn't really see it being run that way. We'll see. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's going to have to work out a trip this time. The thing that I like most about him, I think, and I thought he ran great last time winning that race. That race is almost identical to the race that he ran first time off the claim for Cox. If you go back and watch that, I mean, listen, he didn't get out of the gate well that day, but he had an excuse because he got bumped really hard at the start that day, sort of knocked sideways and was way back up the pace. But he did the same thing in there. I mean, he sat back. He made this huge move up the backstretch to go up all the way after the leaders, carried it all the way around the final turn, and then kept going through the stretch. I feel like this horse has really improved for Brad Cox, and he might have improved even more than the figures make it look, just based on the trips that he's pulled in those 2 races.
The number 4, Charles J, is coming out of a 3rd place finish at this level on August 9th. That was that infamous race that was scheduled to be run at 9 furlongs, was incorrectly run at the mile and a 16th distance due to the gate being placed in the wrong spot. And Mike, anybody who bet Charles J, I guess I could get a little bit of the frustration because he was closing best of all at the end. And I guess you could convince yourself that maybe he would have gotten there if the race had been 9 furlongs for what it's worth. He does gallop out way ahead of the field, but I thought he got a very good ride from Irad Ortiz in the early stages of that race to achieve the result that he did. And he is a horse that has been heading in the right direction recently, but he's been picking up some minor awards at this level. And I think he might need a slight step forward to put himself over the top here.
Yeah, we're going to be on the same page with this horse, it sounds like. I mean, I know that he galloped out way in front of that field last time, but I thought even before that, I thought he had a legit chance to win that race. And he just wasn't catching the horse that wound up winning there at the end. He's okay. I did a lot of chasing of this horse last year, David. He finally broke through with a maiden win in his final start before the layoff. I just don't necessarily feel like he's improved all that much this year. It's only been a few starts. Maybe he will finally move forward again here as we get towards the end of the year again. I just don't really like his form on the way into this, and I didn't think he was going to be a great price.
The number 5, Real Savvy, is a horse that's looking to get back on track after showing some potential during his 2-year-old season, particularly when he broke his maiden by more than 4 lengths at Aqueduct last November, looking like the kind of horse that might eventually be headed to New York bred stakes races. Hasn't really panned out that way. It took him a long time to get back to the races for his 3-year-old season. When he finally did return, he took a ton of money up at Saratoga, Mike, and just didn't really do much running. He was close to an honest pace, or I should say within the first flight of an honest pace. He wasn't that close to it, but just never really got a run going, was mildly steadied in upper stretch. He's just going to have to run a lot better this time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much he can improve because he did run well in his 2 turf starts last year. So he's got that going for him. I thought he was, the toughest call in the race here. I guess you could just look at the Saratoga start last month and say he really needed one first back off the long layoff, but it was kind of hard to be, encouraged by that performance. It's not like he ever did very much running in there. First back off the layup when you're confronted with a fast pace, sometimes that's really hard to deal with. You get your fitness tested right away. So maybe that's an excuse, David. If I'm being honest, I wanted to see him run a lot better last time.
Something I noticed about him watching all of his races again is that he just looked like a massive, overdeveloped 2-year-old. He just towered over his competition last year. Didn't notice that same thing when I watched the replay of his last race, and maybe he's just a horse that was a step ahead of his competition last season. The number 6, Outtawaterbury, is a horse who finished second in that Mr. Tonic race that we mentioned earlier, and I thought he maybe got the best trip of all, Mike, because he was saving ground early in the pocket, angled out at the top of the stretch, really had every chance, and got there in the very late stages, stuck his nose in front, but just got nailed on the wire by the winner that day. We actually take a look at the replay of that race as I was describing it, and Mike, this is a horse that has had plenty of chances. He's run some races that make him very competitive in here. He hasn't actually tried this level too many times, but when he has, he's run okay. Just wonder if last time was the time to have it and you didn't quite get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, he is consistent and he's tactical, and those things will play in here. Maybe he'll get the right trip, and this will be the right spot for him. I'm with you on this race. I thought he got a perfect trip in here. And he just wasn't quite good enough. That's you can say that's a tough beat if you liked him in there at 10-1, but he had no excuse not to win. Pratt gave him a perfect trip. And even the prior start at this level 3 starts back, he just, to me, had no excuse that day either. And Charles J ran better than he did. And Charles J's back in this field as well.
The number 7, Terminal Velocity, is a relatively lightly raced runner for this spot. He's only making the 4th start of his career. A horse who started out on dirt but has really improved since getting over to the grass. Broke his maiden on the turf 2 back, and then last night out he was in that race run at the wrong distance. Don't think that really affected him at all. He was up front every step of the way. Got run down at the end by Fiddleite Coyote, who's probably just a better horse than those he's facing here. But I thought it was a step in the right direction for a horse that still has some upside coming into this.
Yeah, that's why I'm not way against this horse. I think he's very logical in here. Could still move forward. Some of these other horses, you can't say the same thing about them. He has no excuse in here. He's right up on the lead the entire way. He's going to get closed down at the end. But as you pointed out, closed down by a horse who's probably at least as good, if not better, than anything he's facing here. There's nothing wrong with this performance, David. And I like this turf debut, too.
The number 8, Royal Brown, is a horse who was 3rd at this level last time in a race won by the Paddock Pastor. And that was a race that featured a pretty fast pace that completely came apart at the end. And I think you do want to give Royal Brown some credit for at least being up close in the top 4 through the early stages, given how the race did come apart. The runner-up in there sounds like a plan, probably the horse that ran the best race. He's not in this one. He's in the other division of this race on Friday. But Royal Brown, Mike, he's switching trainers for this race. I don't know. I've seen a lot of this switch lately. Trainer switches away from Rick Dutrow. I guess he's had a cold streak and everyone in New York has decided he can't train anymore. We'll see how long that lasts. But Fernando Abreu taking over, he is a capable lateral move. Just wonder if this horse can put those big races back to back.
I wonder about that too. And he did run okay last time, considering the pace of that race. We'll see if he can back it up. If he backs it up against this field, I think it does make him competitive. I wish I liked some of his other races a little bit more, David, because I really don't, but he ran fine last time.
The number 9, the Craftsman, is going to be a big price in this race. He tried this level last time in that race won by Mr. Tonic that Outtawaterbury comes out of. He was really no match for that level. He did win at a big price when he broke his maiden 2 back. If I recall, Mike, I think you actually liked him that day, and a very good opinion by you when he paid $30. But that was just a much weaker field than the one he's going to meet here.
Yeah, exactly. And when you go back and watch the first attempt in this condition last time, it's really hard to get behind this horse. I mean, he was just outrun from the start, and it just felt like he could not keep up with those horses. It just seems like, at least at this stage of the game, this level's too tough for him.
The number 10, Annexperience, is another tough call in this race because you have to decide which version of this horse is going to show up, because he stretched out for the first time 2 back when he broke his maiden going the 1 mile distance at Saratoga, and he did get a perfect trip to win that race, but he still won it decisively, drawing off to win by over 7 lengths on the turf. That is a meaningful margin in any grass race at any level, and he got a legitimate speed figure for that race. It's been confirmed by run back since then, so that was a solid effort. But when you tried winners last time, Mike, and that race won by the Paddock Pastor, things just went wrong right from the start. He got bumped, steadied back. He was out of position every step of the way. And it kind of felt like the jockey sensed he wasn't going to get there at the top of the stretch and didn't really persevere with him.
Yeah, no, I agree. He had enough trouble early in that race. It's another one of those. That's that Paddock Pasture race. They were flying early in there. It was a wicked pace. So in some ways you feel like, well, not getting out of the gate that well and having to steady, maybe it wasn't the worst thing in the world, because they were really rolling up front in there and he was off of it. I just felt like it just left this horse in a really bad position throughout the running. I still, as you said, he's a tough call in here. That's how I looked at him as well, David. I really liked his win 2 starts back. I was really impressed by it. I know he got absolutely loose on the lead in there. It probably wasn't a good field, but I was really impressed with that performance. And it made me want to give him another chance in here. I'll be interested to see what kind of price he goes off at. You made him 8-1. I think that's a great price.
Let's go to picks for this DRF Friday race of the day. And I'm going to go to the two horses that I just didn't love the trips that they got last time and put them as my first and second selections here. One of those is obviously Annexperience, who we just talked about. The other one is Mo Creasa, who I'm hoping gets a more aggressive ride from Ricardo Santana. I do wonder what kind of trip Annexperience is going to get, because I don't think the trip 2 back is available to him here, but I also hope he gets a better trip than last time. So we'll see about that. I'm hoping that the price can compensate. But Mike, I see you decided not to beat the likely favorite in here, the number 3 Iron Max.
Yeah, I spent a long time looking at this race, and I ultimately just sided with him. Even with 2 wins in his 2 starts for Cox off the claim, that look at I don't think he got perfect trips in those races. I think he just won on just because he's really improved. And so I looked at it a long time. I didn't want to take him. I had your 2 horses, the 10 and the 1. They were the 2 horses I was considering. I ultimately sided with the chalk.
3-10-1-5 for Mike and 10-1-3-4 for me in the DRF Friday race of the day, the 8th at Belmont at the Big A. Good luck if you're playing the races later this week.